I have a special guest with us right now. His name is Tony Ricketts. He's one of our members also in the landscaping niche. He's our fastest growing agency of 2021. Tony, man, thanks so much for being on with us.
Hey, Josh, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
I like all your awards paneled behind you. That looks epic.
Yeah, I like the way it sets up. It works out perfect in my office.
So good. So tell us a little bit about your agency, kind of where you're at in business at this stage of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, I'm gonna actually stand up here as we get started. So we, as you mentioned, we are we're in the digital marketing space for lawn and landscape companies specifically, just like Brian. Me and Brian are actually competitors, but we're very good friends. That's actually one of the things that's cool about Seven Figure Agency, is being able to meet your competitors and become friends with them and collaborate. But where we are currently in our business, as you mentioned, we won this year the fastest growing award for Seven Figure Agency. Last year when we started, we were at 60,000 a month in recurring revenue is where we were January of 2021. And we finished when we put the numbers up for the awards, we were about 180,000 a month in recurring revenue, which was around November. So it was 170 because I remember we just broke into the multi-seven-figure mark. As of today, we've continued to keep scaling. So since November, we've gone from the 168, 170 that we were at to today we're at 212. So we've scaled beyond 200 now, going towards the $3 million run rate mark.
Amazing, man. Congratulations. That's so good.
Thank you.
I wanted to have you on during this part so you could talk a little bit about scale. And, obviously to grow that quickly, you had to put a lot of things in place in terms of your team. Can you talk a little bit about how your team is structured and kind of how you went about setting yourself up for that kind of growth?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one of the biggest struggles that I had growing. And it really started to hit right when I was getting close to the $1 million mark, right? Because you ended up, once you're starting to get to that seven-figure mark, you find that you have a lot of like worker bees, right? And you don't have a really strong leadership team in place yet. And it's also because you don't have enough staff yet to really have a true leadership team. So as we grew and scaled, I've always hired in-house. So that's one thing to know about me is we don't have overseas staff. Everybody works here out of our Tampa Bay office that we have. So we have right now a department for content, and we have 6 people in there with a content director. We have 2 account managers, and our account managers handle 100% of communications. That's all they do is just communicate. We've got 2 on our web development team, a senior and a junior. We have 7, I think it is 7 or 8 on our marketing team. And our marketing team kind of puts some of the paid ad stuff, things like social, email marketing, lots of other types of services together in that department. We have various levels in each department, by the way. So not everybody does everything in every department. Then we also have a operations manager that oversees everything and reports to me. And the leadership of each department is what makes up our leadership team. So our leadership team consists of myself, my operations manager, my head of marketing, head of account management, head of web, head of content. So the 6 of us make up the leadership team within the company. So that's what our dynamic and setup kind of looks like right now. Love it.
So good. And a great structure. What were some of the lessons learned in kind of hiring and firing and kind of trying to get that organizational structure?
One of the things that really helped me was setting up an environment that people want to stay at. Nobody likes to go to work. I mean, that's just part of it. Regardless, no matter what you do, even if your job is laying at the beach every day, eventually at some point it becomes a job. So I wanted to start it off right by setting up an environment that would attract people, for one, not just people looking for a job, but people that felt like they wanted to do something with their life and go somewhere and actually be part of something. So we've got a really, really strong culture here in our agency. We do things like free lunch every Friday. Like today, for example, we had Olive Garden brought in After we were done with lunch, we went and set up. We have custom cornhole boards built. We've got footballs. We've got all kinds of stuff. We've got a big back area out behind our office. And we go out there and hang out and play games and stuff like that. Everybody's got stand-up desks. Everybody's got touchscreen monitors and gaming monitors. We try to make it fun and have people want to come here, right? Free food, free snacks, free coffee, free water, all of that kind of stuff. So first of all, it was about setting the environment so that people wanted to come and work here. The other thing was that we are always hiring, consistently hiring. We spend more efforts in our hiring than we do in our marketing. Like right now, for example, I'm trying to hire several positions. We're hiring about 3 to 4 people per month. Right now, we have a total staff of 23, but we expect to be to 70 to 80 by the end of this year as we are growing extremely quickly. And it's all about always hiring. So we're using Indeed, we're using LinkedIn, we're using Facebook. Our ad budget, or I don't call it an ad budget, our recruiting budget right now, we're spending about $3,000 to $4,000 every month just to get applicants into the door. Now, one of the things that's really helped us scale recently, once we've increased it from hiring maybe one person a month to now where we've included it to 3 to 4 a month, is our process to doing it. That's what's key. And that's key to everything as you scale, is your processes and your systems. But we've implemented on-site assessments for all of our roles, which has enabled us to eliminate a lot of people that would not have been good fits that may have gotten through on an assessment that they were doing before. See, prior, we would have somebody apply. We set up automations through high level. So we send out some automated text messages and things like that. And we get on a phone call with them and we do a quick 20-minute phone interview, then send them an assessment that they would do on their own. Depending on how they did there, then we'd bring them into the office for an in-person interview. And we ended up cutting out that middle step of the assessment, because what we found was people would do an awesome job on the assessment that we sent to them, write a piece of content or design a part of a web page or create a campaign for marketing or whatever it may be for each position that we had assessments for. And they would come through flying colors, and then we would hire them in and they just weren't all that great. And what we found is that people were really like having other people kind of give them help on their assessments, which those people aren't going to be here to help them in their day-to-day jobs. So we ended up getting rid of those assessments that they would do on their own, and we brought them in-house. So now after we do the in-person interview, they have a 30-minute in-person interview. And that's where, 30-minute in-person assessment. And that's where it really separates the men from the boys, so to speak, because you're there in a room by yourself and you got to do it. Either you can or you can't. And those who have prevailed through it, those people that we've hired have worked out amazing. And it's been a great experience hiring. So that's kind of some of the things that we're doing to grow the agency and get people in here.
Very cool. So you go from like 30 grand to 60 grand. Now you're at 200. What's your goal? Because I know you're really ambitious. What's your goal for the next 12 months to the next 5 years?
We have some really crazy goals this year. Which we're a little bit behind, not too bad, but I want to pick it up a little bit more. We actually want to be around 800,000 in monthly recurring revenue by the end of this year. So we want to grow from 200 to 800. So we want to 3x it this year. We've been doing 1x every year since the inception of the company. But now I've recently gotten my leadership team to buy into the company to where they treat it as if it's their own, and they've got a lot of incentives to really grow this agency as if it were their own. So if we hit those numbers, they'll all get a lot of bonuses and increases in pays and things like that. But that's what our goal is for this year, is to get to 800. It is a shoot for the stars, land on the moon. So if we end up at 600, 500 a month, that's fine with me too. But 833 to be exact is what our goal is.
Big goals, man. Big ambitions. I love it. You continue to crush it. I'm gonna take a break, but would you be available to stick around and answer some questions for the group?
Yeah, I'll hang out.
Before we do that, though, I've kind of seeded the 7-figure agency over the last 2 days. We've kind of told them about what it is and who it's for and how much it costs. We'd just love to hear from you. Like, what would you say to that agency owner that's still on the fence and still thinking, should I bother signing up for this or not?
Right. So the first thing I would say is, yesterday I did a webinar on peer groups with one of the major influential people in the lawn and landscape industry, because we were talking about peer groups for lawn care and landscape. But I actually talked a lot about my peer group, which is this one, the 7-figure agency. So for me, the seven-figure agency is about the network and the community of people. That's what it really comes down to. The swipe and deploys and the done for you resources, those things are all great and they'll help you, and the strategies are all going to help you. As you heard Brian mention, though, it will be so much it's impossible for one person to implement 100% of everything. But there's a lot of good strategies where you'll take bits and pieces and implement them into your agency your own way. But for me, the value comes from the community. That's where it's really at. It's the Facebook group of being able to throw a question out there, and in 15 minutes, you've got 5 different answers from other people. It's the personal relationships that you develop with the other agency owners in the group, right? I've got half of the people in my personal cell phone that I can shoot a text message off to, or give them a call, schedule a call, whatever it may be, and help get additional resources, whether I need insights or advice, or I actually need real resources. Hey, can I borrow your PPC guy for a day? Right? Things like that that allow us to do things that we would never done on our own. And I'm just like, I saw, I think it might have been Brian or somebody else that I heard. I was actually in the free group, the Digital Marketing Agency Success Group, I think is what it's called. I was in that group for 2 years before I moved to seven-figure agency as an actual member. And I was very skeptical. You know, I looked at the costs. I didn't know if it was actually going to be worth it or not. And I went down to a free in-person live event that Josh invited me to. It was a members only, but he gave me the invite to come in person, and I went. And once I was there and saw it, it was a complete eye opener for me. I was in agency at that time. I was doing about 50 grand a year, half in projects, half in recurring revenue. You guys told me I need to drop my projects, and I said, no, you're never going to get me to drop my projects. Well, I did. I went back, I cut my revenue in half, replaced it within 3 months through recurring revenue. But it was that being an in-person experience that I said, this is where I need to be, because I'm sure like many of you here, I had nobody to lean on. Like yeah, I'm married, I've got my wife, and I've got some family members and some friends, but these people don't understand, right? They don't understand what we're trying to do here by building and running a digital marketing agency, or even what that means and what we do and what that entails and what that looks like in the future. And when I sat down in Josh's group and met some of the people and talked to some of them, I was like, wow, holy shit, these people are my people. They're doing the exact same thing that I'm doing, and they're all working together. I was like, I don't care what this costs. I got to be part of this. So I joined, and I've been here now for what am I starting my third year or something, I believe it is now. So, yep. And now one of the largest agencies in the group. And when I started, I was one of the smallest agencies in the group. So good, man. What a great share. Really appreciate you unpacking that for the group.